Autumn is definitely in the air. I love autumn. Autumn is September. It's one of my favourite months. It just feels fresh. The air is clean. Still warmth in the day, but the mornings and the evenings are a bit chilly. It's nice. It compels me to shoot a video. It does. Before we get going on this video, can I ask you to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's help push things forward. Let's talk entities, DMT entities, and the complexity of DMT entities, and the phenomenology of the DMT entity. It's quite complex. And if you've had experience with DMT, you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you haven't and you are thinking about having the experience, then this hopefully will help you. So, shortly after the effects take hold, you'll go through and move through, and can move through different stages of entity contact, and they're worth listing here. I think you will have the sort of kaleidoscopic motifs and mandala effect, and if you sort of are in at 30 milligrams, from the motif and mandala effect and kaleidoscopic effect, you may start to make out faces. You may start to make out, images and imagery, faces, etc., coming forth from the mandala, from the kaleidoscopic effects. And this is cool. This is quite fun if you haven't experienced it before. These sort of dancing motifs, faces, very Mayan, Aztec, sort of French Polynesian, Maori, right through to sort of jester and trickster style faces emerge, ooh, sort of kind of saying hello. Now you could probably attribute this if you're a materialist and you come out of the experience, there's every possibility that you could attribute this to the effects of the molecule and sort of say, wow, that was a powerful trip, and I saw these beings dancing around. But it could be very, you could attribute it to the qualia, I think is the word, and this ability to make sense of random patterns in the form of faces and familiar objects that are kind of hardwired into your brain, or that you've picked up and learnt from the environment, and your brain has created that pattern. That's kind of at the 30 milligram benchmark. Some people experience things differently, and some people are more sensitive to the molecule, and therefore you may well go further than that. But then when we wind it up a notch and we go 50 milligrams, then things start to take a turn, and the environment becomes more engaging, and the entities will, I don't know, it's difficult to describe. The sort of dancing motif, animated CGI entities from experience below, threshold below, are still present in some cases. But then there could actually be a presence, a felt presence, that is almost like an architect, like a puppeteer, in control of those dancing entities, almost animating them for your entertainment, or to keep you occupied, to keep your focus, you're mesmerized by the entities that you're, or the phenomenology that you're experiencing. And then this sort of puppeteer felt presence behind those entities is watching and sort of weighing you up, which is a very interesting thought, because is it parts of your subconscious splintering, or have you then crossed into something new and something different that is not of the norm, and then our psychology begins to fail us and we slip into something much deeper. Are met gatekeepers, guardians, helpers, reptilians, insectoid creatures of another dimension and from another reality, and you can slip into their world seamlessly as the effects take hold, and they are either surprised to see you, or they were waiting for you. And I regularly have an interaction with a very feminine deity, and that's when the dog interrupts my video and starts whinging because she hasn't had a ball thrown for her. Find it, Nora. And you've got to ask yourself, at this point, what are these entities? Because you've almost slipped out and slipped in seamlessly into a world that is seemingly freestanding, not your own. The reality of kind of being in contact with something other is just undeniable. I regularly think about it, and I think, the brain is a very powerful tool, right? The brain, as we sort of stand here today, is the most complex object, organism, computer in the known universe. There's nothing more complex. We can imagine what it's like to be on another planet. We can imagine, everything we've done, the camera technology that I'm holding right here, with gimbal stabilization, was all come from the imagination of human beings. Rocket ships, nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence has all come from our psyche. So the brain is a very powerful tool. So to say that it can't possibly make up those environments and those entities and those creatures and those, you know, that feeling is wrong. The brain could do it. It could do it. But then we kind of move back towards Andrew Gallimore's very, very insightful and helpful guidance on what the brain does and how the brain works. The brain builds on environments that it knows, and sensory input coming into the brain is kind of mapped on models that it already knows. So how does it do that when it comes to DMT? And what are those entities? I don't know. I just don't know. Yes. Anyway, I digress. So let's talk about the entities. Let's talk about a couple of specific entities that I have met in that deeper state. So I'm going to end with one specific entity contact encounter that makes it very difficult for me to believe that this is all just part of the brain. Although I am open to the possibility that it could be. I was in space, and that's how I liken the environment that I was in. Although the stars were a very neon, it's like a neon glowing pinks and blues, and there were some steps in front of me that led my eye to sort of look out to recognise that the environment that I was in was one of some kind of space, be it like a multiverse, different space, but space nonetheless, with a ship, a huge starship, glowing neon bright. Like I said, still slightly different, still not like something that you would see in a film, but definitely a starship of sorts. And then I heard a voice say, "Send him down. Send him down." And all of a sudden, I'm on a psychedelic beach of sorts. There was a campfire and some kind of sea, ocean, and stood next to the campfire was a small 4-foot queen, an alien queen, humanoid features to a certain extent, but diamond, made of some kind of crystalline structure, with a big crown and some kind of, I don't know, cape, fiery crystalline colours that I have never seen before, staring at me almost in some kind of mesmerising, smiling dance, but very solidified, very there. And the next thing, she's in my face, smiling in a kind of malevolent way, but benevolent at the same time. Very much just whether or not I was able to take on bored emotionally what I was seeing, but she was in my face, smiling, and just the most beautiful thing I think I've ever seen, but terrifying at the same time, alien, godlike, just waiting to open some kind of vein of communication. Huge diamond encrusted headdress of sorts, and it's at those moments when you have a recognition that you have made contact with something else that is written about in history, and that is kind of, you know, the folklore of humanity, to meet these kind of beings, gods, angels, demons, fairies, elves, whatever and wherever they come from. This was one of those moments. And then it's at that moment that everything just dissipates and you are on your way back. What the fucking hell is that? You know, I think that we look at these environments and we look at these experiences from the wrong lens, through the wrong lens, and it's just, I think, something that we haven't yet learnt the ability to look at these experiences and these do you know what I mean? It's like we have, you know, we travel from one country to another. We look at a dream state, we look at a psychotic state, we look at all these different states, but maybe there's something that we're missing where we're not yet looking at these experiences in the right way. There's some kind of perceptual key that we're missing, that at some point in our evolution we will understand. And then this to talk about these sort of UFO craft that have something to do with consciousness and something to do with the observer observing them, is what brings them into being. And I think maybe with DMT, with all these types of experiences, that is the key. There's some kind of perceptual shift that we're not yet evolved to understand, and when we crack that, then this whole puzzle is going to get infinitely easier. Anyway, I'm going to leave you for now. Dog's doing my nutting already, she's barking, and please like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.